As my grandfather would say, do as I say, not as I do. Today, I'm going to be talking about what I wish I knew before creating content. So, just a little backstory on me. I've been doing content creation for about 5 years. And within these 5 years, I've learned a lot of lessons. I've been recently reflecting on things I wish I would have known or things I wish I would have done starting off early, especially after seeing in the long run the things I was worried about in the beginning of creating content really didn't matter at all. So, with that being said, I want to go into the first thing I wish I knew. In order to be consistent in creating content, you need to be organized. And not just organized, but you need to have systems in the workflow. I'm sure you've seen online where everybody's like, oh, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent, post X amount of times a day, do this, do this. But they don't give you the strategy behind what keeps them consistent. And that strategy is finding a system and workflow that works best for you. That's it. That's the key to consistency. It's finding a system or a workflow that works best for you. And had I wish I'd known that, oh my gosh. Boy, it would have saved me a lot of time with creating content. So, currently, I'm in a place where I'm realizing, okay, I need more structure and systems in my business and in my workflow in my day-to-day life. Right now, I'm in a season in my life where I'm being stretched in many areas. I'm pouring into many areas, and I can't operate with my content like how I was doing before. So I posted a video about how I create content. Don't listen to that video. Like, don't listen to that video. Don't listen to me and how I do it. The way I was creating content was like chaotic organization. So like, I would pick 3 random days out the week. Like, all right, these 3 days I'm gonna do map out my outline, source, research, film and edit, and then post and schedule. I'll put it up in within like 3 to 4 days. And as I'm growing and just going into new territory with my business and my life, I realized that system doesn't work for me. I need more structure. So instead of doing 3 random days, now I'm in the place of where I'm like, okay, I have these set days where I do these type of work. So I have a set day for research, admin work, outlining, and I have a set day for recording and editing. And I have another set day for uploading, scheduling, and whatever task I need to do at hand versus just picking 3 to 4 random days a week to do these things. I have a set schedule. So it's structured out to where I know, okay, this day is for this day is for that, and that day is for that. And I feel like that's going to help me with creating content more consistently. And that brings me to my next point. When you're creating content, I think it's really important to be honest with where you're at. I'm going to use my prior example of me getting organized, right? Before, I would try to I would try to batch record 12 videos in one day. When I would try to batch that many videos, my nervous system was shut down. I was shut down, it was overwhelming, and I realized I had to scale it down. I had to be realistic and honest with where I was at. I was not in a place where I could batch 12, 15, 16 videos, long form videos, not short form, long form videos in one day. I had to be realistic with myself and told myself, okay, recording 3 videos a week versus creating 12 videos in one day for the month. Because I also found that when I did do that, I would record all these videos, but then I'm kind of avoidant, resistant of editing all of those videos because it's so much to edit at once. For me, it made me kind of shy away from it, and I feel like that was also played a part in my inconsistency. Also, with being honest with where you're at, a lot of times when people are in content creation, we want our content to look a certain way. We have a vision in our head. We want it to come out exactly how we envision it. But something I also realized along my journey is my skill set level is not at a level where I can execute that vision in the way that I would like to. I'm a DIY person. And I feel like because I'm a DIY person, I tend to do a lot of things myself. I catch on pretty quickly to things. I can learn things pretty quickly. I like to do things myself. I like to learn and figure out things myself. And because of that, I thought, oh, well, because I have this skill set, I can execute my vision the way I see it. But in reality, my skill set, even though I do have the ability to learn quickly and to do things maybe other people wouldn't be able to do, my skill set wasn't there. Like my skill set wasn't at a place where I can execute it in the way that I envision it. So I had to meet myself and be honest with where I'm at with my skill set level. And I feel like that's what got me caught up in perfectionism, trying to perfect the craft instead of being honest with myself about, okay, your skill level is not here. I wasted time trying to perfect my content. Like before I started my business, I spent months on my branding, trying to perfect it, trying to curate this vibe, trying to do all this so it can be cool and yada, 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 just for me to hate it like 3-4 months after I did it. So it was just a time waster. I wasted time trying to be perfect instead of being honest with where I'm at and accepting with where I'm at and taking the initiative to enhance my skills, to take the time out to learn the skills I want to improve on so I can execute that vision. Or if I don't want to learn the skills, put myself out there, generate the income so I can delegate that out to someone who does have that skill, who can help me execute my vision. So being honest with where you're at in content creation and taking the initiative to analyze and assess what it is that you need to do to get to where you want to be is really important. I think, like I said before, I don't mean to repeat myself, but just to emphasize on the point, that's where perfectionism kick in. You not being honest with where you're at. You not being honest with where you're at. I think that's a part of perfectionism, not perfectionism entirely. That is one of the reasons why people are perfectionists. I always say this to myself, it doesn't have to be perfect to be effective. Build your craft. Build your craft. Putting the work out there is way more important than trying to perfect something. Like it's a time waster trying to be perfect. It's a time waster trying to be nitpicky about things. It's a time waster. Just put it out there, because the more you put it out there, the better you get. And so I feel like that all comes down to being honest with yourself and where you're at. So the second thing I wish I knew, and I wish I would have just took heed to when I've heard people say this to me, is you can have poor habits and expect new levels. I've made a video on this, I believe, and I stated in the past, your personal habits and your business habits go hand in hand. Like what you do in your personal life transfers into your business life. I have to assess my life to see, okay, where am I falling short at? What's hindering me back from really getting to the level that I want in content creation and business? What do I need to do to lock in? Like, you know those people that you see on TikTok that just blew up and like they just went crazy. They started this series and they just went crazy. I feel like they had that moment where they had to be very honest with themselves. Like, okay, what am I doing wrong in this area? What habits am I doing? Assess it, change it, and lock in and put it out there. I feel like, I really believe that's what got those people to take off like that, is having a self-reflection and assessment of the areas they need to change. That could be doom scrolling, lack of time management, going off of your emotions instead of what you need to do, not spending time with God, like any of that. Assess. I wish I would have assessed more about what I'm doing instead of just putting the content to just be to put it out there. I wish I was more intentional with how I'm conducting my life, because it does play it plays a huge factor into how you show up online. And also with like the habits, the thought patterns that you have in your mind can hinder you back in content. I realized that hindered me back in content. Having doubt, lack of belief, that prevented me from showing up online. I think it's also important to take captive of your thoughts, to be mindful of your thoughts and what you're coming into agreement with. Like, speak life over yourself. Don't speak death over yourself. Speak into your life. Speak into what you want to see in your life. That's something I didn't do before, and I see the difference between back when I didn't do that and when I do it now, and it's a complete difference with how I show up online with creating content. The next thing I wish I knew, and this is like so important, is to check my heart posture. What do you mean by that? Check your intent when you're online, showing up online and creating content. I'll give you an example. For me, I was extremely selfish going into starting my business and creating content online. I wanted it to look cool. I wanted it to be this. I kind of wanted to do a spin off of my clothing brand I did back in college. I wanted to do a revamp of that. I'm like, oh, I want this. I want these clients. I want this. I want that. It was all about me, and what I wanted. But we're called to serve. We're called to solve a problem. And the people who I meant to help was not the people who I was thinking about. So I had to shift my heart posture and make it less about me and more about who I'm called to serve. I think when creating content, it's easy to get caught up in the analytics, the likes, the brand partnerships. Oh, this person's getting these deals. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. Let me just say that. Comparison is the thief of joy. Don't do that. Don't do that. But it's easy to get caught up in that. And I feel like along your content journey, even outside your content journey, and just with business in general, and make sure it's in a posture of servitude, like serving your community. We are called to serve these people with our businesses, with our gifts and our talents. We are called to serve them. They need us. There's people attached to us. There's people attached to our yes. There's people attached to our gifts. There's people who need us out there to do what we do, so then they can go on and do what they're led to do, what they're called to do. It's literally a domino effect. So your heart posture in this content creation journey is so important, because it's easy to get caught up in yourself and to forget why you were doing this in the first place. And the last thing is be obedient. Now, if you're not a follower of Christ, I'm a follower of Christ, and God is heavily involved in my business. If you don't know him, seek him. But for those who do know Christ, be obedient and partner with God. Walk with me. All of the things I've listed in this video played a part in my disobedience and why I was disobedient. And I feel like the reason why I was disobedient is because I took the instruction and ran with it instead of going to God and partnering with him on it. Be obedient. Like, yo, when I think about God told me to do this business in 2020, I BS'd around. I really didn't start until 2020, really 2023, if I'm being really honest. Like, and man, like, sometimes I really think back and be like, dang, if I was just obedient, where would I be? If I just said yes, if I just went to God and I just partnered with God and I just gave him my yes in that moment, despite how I felt, despite if I felt if I was unqualified, I wonder where I would be. Now, what happened, and I'm not going to reflect on it, but you don't want to cause any delay in your life. You don't want to cause any delay on the things that God is calling you to, and you don't want to cause any delay on the people the people who's waiting on you to do what you got to do. Like, you don't, and you definitely don't want God to switch up on you and give your assignment to someone else. That's nah. Nah. So be obedient, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't understand, even if it's something you don't want to do in that moment. You don't know where your obedience is going to lead you. Another thing, surrender to God and partner with Him on your business and your content creation journey. Surrender. Like I said before, like I took the instruction and ran with it. I feel like a lot of people take the instruction and run with it instead of really sitting with God and walking with Him through the instruction. And I think, like, had I walked with God through the instruction, I would be in a totally different place, most likely. But what happened, happened, and I can learn from it. But be obedient, surrender, and partner with God. Like, obedience is not comfortable. Obedience is not fun. Like, it's not this fuzzy. Like Raven Hoket said on Supernaturally Paid, it ain't no fuzzy feeling, right? But you don't know where your obedience can lead you to. You don't know the doors that God will open with your yes. So be obedient. Like, if it's nothing, like that thing you feel pressing on your heart, that thing you know you're supposed to be doing, that thing that just won't stop bugging you. Like, when I first started my business, like, I didn't do it, but it kept pressing me, pressing me, pressing me, pressing me, pressing me to the point where I'm like, all right, I gotta do this. Like, it won't go away. Like, it was just constantly do this, do this, do this, start the business, do this, create the content, create the content, create the content. Be obedient. Be obedient. Give God your yes. So that is all I have for you guys today. These are the things I wish I knew before I started creating content. I want to have a conversation about this. So drop in the comments, tell me some things that you wish you would have known while you were creating content, or things you've learned while you were creating content, or things you wish you know before you started creating content. I want to spread the gems to everybody. I want us to all share our gems amongst each other. So do that, chat, let's have a conversation. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.